All right, everybody, welcome back. Joe White here from Get Life Coaching. Just wanted to kind of jump on here, say hi to everybody, but also want to share with you a valuable tool to get out of the weeds, the negative thinking. You ever feel like you're in a negative situation and you just spiral downward? I'm going to show you a real simple strategy, how the brain works, to how to circumvent that. I just want to throw this out there. If you're kind of enjoying this, I encourage you to head on over to calljoewhite.com. It's your chance to get a complimentary coaching session and get a chance to kind of figure out where you are, where you want to be, what's preventing you, but most importantly, how to get through it. So just go to calljoewhite.com. I'll put the link in the comment section. But if you understand how the brain works, and how the brain works is whatever you focus on life you get, okay? Now, if you focus on what you don't want, you get more of that too. And the subjective mind, the unconscious, it controls 90% of everything you do today. So you drive somewhere that you've driven every day, who's driving that car? It certainly isn't you. I mean, yes, you're paying attention consciously somewhat, but you might be singing to your favorite song. You might be sipping that coffee, thinking about the first things you got to do at work. You're not driving 100% focus. You're kind of on autopilot. That's fine because your subconscious mind is really in control. Whether it's your liver function, your heart, your kidneys, your breathing, the blinking of your eyes, the swallowing that some of you just did. So the subconscious mind doesn't care. It's a computer. What you tell it to do, it does. What you tell it about life, it believes. It doesn't fact check like Twitter does now. It simply says, you know what? If you say it enough times, it must be true. So here's a pattern that we all run. Have you ever been in a real negative situation, kind of feeling stuff is getting piled on? And you say to yourself, why is this happening to me? Maybe you say, why can't I change? Why this? Why that? Understand the word why, okay? Your brain is... Every thought, every word that you say changes your biochemistry. I don't know if you know that, right? Now, if you say it over and over again, you get consistently changing your biochemistry. Sometimes it's a little bit, sometimes it's a lot. And the word why tells your subconscious mind to find reasons. Now, if you say something with enough conviction, why can't I change? Why am I always finding the wrong partner in life? Why am I so broke all the time? Your brain is going to look for answers. But here is the part. What if there's no real reason? Guess what your subconscious mind is going to do? It's going to make stuff up. It's going to make stuff up and you're going to assume that that is real. Right? So when you ask yourself, why am I in any negative situation? Automatically, your brain will find reasons of why. Have you ever been like in an angry at someone, like in a relationship? I'm sure you haven't, right? But many of us have. And someone ever said to you, well, John, why are you so angry? Like, you want to know why I'm angry? I'll tell you why I'm angry, right? And you get stronger and stronger. You get more into that emotional state. Just like if someone said like, well, Debbie, why are you so depressed? I am so depressed because, and you go on and on and on. You start stacking. And next thing you know, you're like 100 times more depressed than you were before someone asked you that question. Because what you focus on is what you get. So when you're in a negative situation, avoid, seriously, at all costs, the why question. Substitute it with a how or what. What can I do right now to change my situation? What is happening around me that is triggering this emotional response? See, I'm not saying go grandiose. Like, if you're saying, why am I such a failure, to like saying, I am so successful, everything I do. Because your brain going to go, that's BS, and it's going to reject it. But when you go how or what happens is you limit the scope and you get more factual and you don't engage that why mechanism that searches for examples to support that belief. So let's go with money. Why am I so broke? What can I do to change my current financial situation? What am I doing right now that is causing me to stay in a negative situation? If it's like, why am I always getting my heart broken? Well, you can certainly say, what can I do right now to attract the person of my dreams? What can I do right now to create a shift so that I can impact myself and my partner? What am I missing in my relationship that I could change that could help me and my partner get back together? See, how or what it brings you. Stop looking from the past, because that's what why does. Why would look for the past, look for support. How or what? Yeah, a little bit sometimes, but more about present focus. Now, what about positive things, right? Positive things like gratitude. You could certainly ask, what am I grateful for today? How can I appreciate all the things that are in my life today? But can you use a why question in a positive situation? Absolutely. See, when you use it for positive, why am I so grateful today? Your brain goes, he's grateful. Let's find reasons. And you will find reasons if you ask it with enough conviction. Now, where it doesn't work, when you say, well, why do I love myself so much today? And your brain goes, BS, he doesn't believe it, and it doesn't engage. But if you ask it with enough consistency and enough emotional intensity, which really means like with conviction behind it, like you believe it, your brain will find answers, right? Why do I know right now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I can turn things around? There's been multiple times in my life, in business, in relationship, where like it was checkmate. I remember one time I was going to do a business deal, and I sat down in front of someone, and he shook his head, and he goes, Joe, I hate being the person that tells you, but you know, everyone always thinks they have to kind of do like Joe White on me. But I got to be the person that tells you the truth. I don't think you can turn your business around. I had multiple people tell me that in one situation. And immediately my brain started thinking, well, maybe they're right. And I'm like, no. Right? I need to change my focus. I can't believe in that. If I believe in that, I'm done. So I asked myself a question. And that question was, you know, how or why do I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can turn it around? And my brain goes, but you can't, because these people said so. I go, no. I asked it again. Why do I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can turn the situation around? And my brain goes, because you've gotten through stuff before. And I know it sounds odd, but I talk to myself out loud sometimes, or I journal it this way. I just go, well, what else? Same thing I would ask the client, right? I said, and sometimes I restate the question. Why do I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I could turn things around? You know, because I still got moves. I still got time. I still got opportunity. I'm guided in this. And as I started saying them, I started feeling them. As I started feeling them, guess what? I got into that state, and then they started flowing right from me. I grabbed my phone, I hit voice recorder, and I captured it there. So asking why is a great question when you're thinking about the positive or moving forward. But it should never be used in the past, because all you're going to get is stories. You'll get valid reasons, and you'll get made up reasons because it needs to validate, because that's what you told your subconscious mind to do. So again, with negative, it's the how or what questions that are going to give you the highest impact and mitigate the negative, so you can figure out what you need to do to turn the course. See, we got to pay attention to our language. Language doesn't just define the experience, it creates it. I'll say that again. Language doesn't just define the experience, it creates it. So whatever we say consistently becomes our reality. But understand that's only our interpretation. And our interpretation is based upon our upbringing, our experiences, our gender, our race, what we've been taught, what we've been programmed and conditioned. But the truth is, we can literally change that. We can change that program. I've done it for 26 years in my own life and 21 years at Get Life Coaching. But what impedes that is when we say we want something, but then we use negative language to justify where we're at. So we set a goal to change something in our lives, and we say things like, but I could never change that. I'm always this way. Nothing ever works out for me. So pay attention to your negative language. And I'll give you one more tool. This is one of my absolute favorite tools. And it's called the language reframe. I'll tell you where it came from. I'm almost embarrassed to tell this story, but I used to work in New York City. And I worked at a major nightclub called the Limelight. And I worked my way up from the busboy to, I worked in VIP, the VIP room. I met like tons of celebrities. And I also was the only male waiter. And I worked the mezzanine. The Limelight was this 18th century church that converted to a discotheque. It was super uber famous in New York in the 80s, early 90s. So, being the only guy who was a waiter, I didn't make as much tips as the women did. But I was in my active addiction. Again, I hate telling this story, but I need to share this with you. And, I used to find little ways. I would bribe the bartenders. I was very clever, I'll say it that way, of how I stole money from them. Okay. And, we had our own soda gun, and I realized if I stole sodas, they would find out the next day I didn't work and soda sales were up 20%. And they'll go, well, they're up 20% because Joe's skimming. Right. And I remember early in my recovery, I would go out and I would talk to people, and that would come up, and I would recant that story almost with a sense of pride. Like, look how clever I am. I found a way to steal from my company and to, outsell the women, and made, not as much money as they did, but I was at the end of it, I felt disgusting because it wasn't who I am. Joe the Addict stole. Joe the Addict was an idiot, an asshole at times, but that's not my integrity, and that's not where I was moving towards. But there was a part of me that got off on that story, right? I see that a lot with like addicts who are in recovery. They go right back in state talking about the war stories. Well, I remember back in 1974, I had a pile of cocaine for women, and they're right back reliving it. In other words, they're making neural connections in the brain. They're keeping that pattern alive. And I would tell myself to stop once I started. But I always blew by that stop sign because I want the payoff. I wanted to impress some woman usually and show her how clever I was for stealing. And after that moment was gone, like I said, I felt like crap. So I realized I have to change this pattern because I can't keep doing this because it's not who I was. So I began to, every time I told that story, I figured, you know what? The best way to combat that crap is the truth. The truth about how I felt. So I began to go, when I start the story, I would, as soon as I recognized, I would stop myself and I would literally say, and so I remember working in a bar. I worked in a bar in New York, and I'll get into it a little bit. And there was a soda, and I'm like, wait a minute. You know what? I stole. It's wrong. I'm embarrassed that I did. It's not who I am. I'd rather just stop. What that does is interrupts that pattern. Have you ever been in a situation where you were really angry at someone and something funny happened, or maybe the phone rang and it knocked you out of state a little bit? You're like, what do you mean you can't do this? I can't do it. And the phone rings, you're like, I'm looking for a phone. I don't have a phone near me, right? I'll use my mouse. I'm like, hang on one second. No, I want 5, not 4. Okay, thank you. And then you try to get back into it and you really can't, right? It's not the same intensity. Something knocked you out. Right? Or maybe you were angry and that person you were angry with was trying to make you laugh. Like, I'm angry, don't make me laugh. As soon as you break that smile and start laughing, you lose the pattern. That's what it does. It interrupts that pattern because I'm so used to, or you're so used to telling that story and feel, I'm going to start here, then I feel that, then I'll tell this part. You're interrupting that pattern. And if you interrupt the pattern enough, with enough intensity, you can't get back into it, right? We do that, the ultimate breaking through the barrier at the Saturday night. If you've been through it, you know exactly what part, right? We interrupt that pattern so much, you can't get back into it. Or if you do, it's nowhere near the level of intensity where it was. So when you do the language reframe, you have to do a couple things. If you run crappy language where you go, I'm just not good enough, nothing ever works out for me. Anything that sounds like a crying baby or a victim, right? You have to stop yourself out loud. Now, I have some people try to do it inside because they don't want to be embarrassed. It's not the same. You have to stop yourself. And you say, well, I just don't understand, you know, like when he left me, my life is ruined. Wait a minute. What I meant to say was, I'm learning to get past this. That's all I got to say. And you move on. So you stop the pattern, right? Sometimes I make a joke about it. What I meant to say was, you know, I'm not that good at it yet. And then you state the positive. Now, here's the key. If you're doing it in your head, have you ever driven somewhere and literally played whack-a-mole with yourself, right? You have to self-correct and do the language reframe out loud, even if you're talking in your head. And I know if you're in public, you look a little bit out there, shall I say, but trust me, it adds to the intensity and breaks the pattern, and you'll make people laugh, right? I remember doing this once in a car. And my windows was down. It was a day like this, beautiful day outside. And I'm like, well, I don't mean that. What I really meant to say was, and the person next to me kind of looked at me, right? And I looked at them, they looked at me, and they rolled up their windows, right? That's how long ago it was. Like, they rolled up their windows. I'm like, you know, just making them laugh. I felt like so embarrassed. I'm like, well, at least I made them laugh. So the language reframe is a powerful tool to help break that pattern, because if you don't break it, you're just going to feed it. Remember this, whatever you feed will grow and whatever you starve will die. I'll repeat that because there's an important caveat in there. And that is, whatever you feed will grow, whatever you starve will die, which means that which you feed starves the other side. So if you feed your faith, your confidence, your love, your passion, it grows and automatically starves your fears, your doubts, your hesitations. But if you feed your fears, doubt, hesitations, what happens is your faith, your love, your dedication begins to drop. You can only feed one, and the opposite begins to starve. So there are some great ways to take control and do some self-coaching, because I can't even think, what was it, like 12 years ago, I developed this concept of coaching yourself. Maybe it was like 14, somewhere around there, right? It all kind of blends in together. And I remember I was at this network event, and I was telling people, and I was like, you know, so what do you do? I said, well, you know, I really coach people to become become coaches in their lives, to kind of take me out of a position. And they were like, that's the worst marketing idea ever. You need to keep people dependent. I'm like, no, you need to keep people dependent because that's your limiting belief. My belief is I don't want them dependent on me. No one calls me at 12 o'clock tonight. No one will call me tonight. I know it sounds terrible, but no one calls me because they have a problem, put it that way. I might get a text from someone that's had a huge breakthrough, but it's about creating independence. So what I've done was create this whole concept of coaching yourself, coaching myself out of a job. That is the role of a successful coach. Sure, I got clients that have been with me for now 10 to 12 years, but they're high achievers, man. They realize it is more expensive in time, money, energy, effort, results to get stuck in a ditch, right? And wait for the tow truck, I can say that, to get you and pull you out, versus they'd rather give up an hour every other week and invest in themselves to stay out of the ditches, right? So that's where my long-standing clients, but most of the people I work with, we get them through their issues in a course of 4 months. That and a seminar, Ultimate Breaking Through the Barrier, tends to work for most people off the bat to get rid of that. Might be other issues they want to work with. Other times they don't. Either way, the main reason why they came, it's done. Where if you go to therapy, it's going to take 2, 3, 4 years. And if you go to the wrong therapist, that sends you to a psychiatrist, they're going to medicate your ass too. So I kind of want to share you some tools here on a Friday. It's been a great week here. My daughter is wrapping up her school. It was funny. I was walking down the stairs last night into my war room, and I'm like, I was up and down, right? I'm like, I don't want to be a teacher anymore, right? So teachers, I love you. I love what you do. I have a small, like I'm a teacher during the day, every other week with my workload of everything we do here at Get Life Coaching and Firewalking Institute. But I'm just saying, teachers, I have this, I will never question you. Well, maybe I'll question like methodology, but not your heart and dedication. So huge. It's like, I became Mr. Mom, I became Mr. Teacher, and you know what? It's not for me. I like being the parent who helps their child with homework, but I don't want the responsibility of being a teacher. So thank you. As we come to the end of the school year, whether it's graduation or leaving kindergarten or first grade, huge shout out, huge hug to all the teachers out there, and all the administrative too, like all the people. I have a couple clients that work on the IT side of universities and of school districts, and they just been working their butts off trying to, some of them had no distant learning, virtual learning, set up, or very minuscule, and they pull rabbits out of their asses. They work long hours. They create something out of nothing. Just like huge shout out to the whole academic community for doing everything they can to support our most valuable resource. Getting soft in my old years, and that's our children. Especially if you see the challenges that's happening in the world today, with the division of ideologies, division of race. Don't need to go into it. I'm sure you you're aware too. Our children is our hope, right? It really, and we need that. And we need some hope, and we need some change. But I won't go there today. I don't know where that came from, but yeah. So thank you to the teachers, the administrators, to all those who pulled it off, and lots of love. So that's all I got for you guys. If you enjoyed this and you're interested in how some coaching might impact you, if you're a little bit like me, saying, I want more of this stuff, or maybe you're getting ready to transition from where you are to back into the real world, and you think, maybe it's time for me to step up or change or pivot here, just go to calljoewhite.com. Simple form, takes you 30 seconds to fill out. We'll handle the rest. So just go to calljoewhite.com. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this, share it. That's all that I ask. And don't forget, this Monday at facebook.com/Coach Joe White. That's my personal page. We got our Ask Joe at noon. So until next time, Joe White from Get Life Coaching. Say it with me. Come on. Rattle the cage. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.